Welcome back. Certainly finding a professional to work with who helps you diagnose a problem before giving solutions is such a key aspect of, being successful. Cameron, you've been, welcome. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. You've been in the barter industry for a long time. I don't think people come in to you and say, I really want to barter for stuff. But there's got to be a way you can kind of diagnose a problem to see if it's a good fit for them.
Sure. Absolutely. As far as the barter or trade industry is concerned, we can ask a set of pretty simple questions, although I guess this is probably true for most professions. But we have a set of questions we can ask, or statistics, numbers we can look at to see if someone is a good candidate to pick up organized trade and incorporate it into their business.
How do people figure that out? I mean, what are some of those questions?
Well, number one, the first and easiest question is, are you busy all the time? If you are...
Sounds loaded.
No. if you're a professional, and I'm speaking from a work perspective
sure.
Here, of course. If you're a professional and every single one of your appointments is filled every week, well, you don't need to trade. You have no capacity to trade. You have nothing to trade. If you're a retailer and every product you have sells out, again, trading isn't necessary because your cash business is operating at 100%. So the first thing is, do you have downtime or inventory that's not moving as quickly as you want? If the answer is yes, then we move on to the remainder of the questions. We like to look at a professional's margins. If you have a higher margin, trading makes more sense. You look at the cost of getting their product or their service out to somebody else. There's a number of factors we look at, and the nice thing is when we're talking to prospective clients, it's self-analysis for them as well. They can really see how busy they are and if they have space for more things.
So if you find somebody has the capacity and meets the margins, then what exactly does Itex do? How does it work?
Well, Itex and all organized barter groups has a couple of purposes. They help you connect with new customers you didn't have otherwise. And once they've done that, they take that increased revenue they've brought you, because you've got some new deals coming in, and help you use that as effectively as possible. Those are the two primary functions of a trade group, to bring you more business and help you turn that business into a productive asset for your company or for your even personal life.
So there's a little bit of a marketing aspect. I mean, you talk about almost like this digital currency, but you also provide a service outside of that, helping you find new people to work with.
Absolutely.
Other business owners.
Absolutely. The digital currency is fundamental to what we do because that's essentially the product. You're using the digital currency. But the primary service we provide is definitely marketing. We sell our customers across the Itex marketplace to other people in our community, and we do that for all of our clients. We help them find that business aggressively, not just sitting there.
So can anybody join? I mean, I imagine a mortgage world would be pretty tough to join in a barter and exchange, but I mean, there's got to be what are the requirements?
Well, can anybody join? The answer would be no, but most small and medium businesses, I think, in this country, especially nowadays, has the opportunity to make trade a productive part of what they do. Whether it's with Itex, another trade company, or even just setting up some deals on their own, leveraging their capacity or their excess inventory and turning it into something that's helping them out is something almost anybody can do. So
what is a good example of a trade scenario?
A good example of a trade scenario would be, I can actually come up with two sort of different examples for you that show the breadth of what we can do, or trade companies can do. We have a lot of companies that focus really on their business expenses. For example, Beacon Plumbing and Mechanical is one of our clients, and they do quite a bit of business for Itex members, which they receive payment in the digital currency, and then they use that to advertise their business. So they've increased their advertising budget, driven a whole bunch of revenue their way from customers that wouldn't have been calling them otherwise. So they're saving cash. They're getting out in the airwaves, in the magazines, on the buses, these sorts of things more and more frequently, and they're doing that with the power of trade. On the flip side, a lot of people use it for personal expenses. guys that want to give their sweethearts things for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or vacations for the family. A lot of nice personal luxury items that folks maybe couldn't afford. They do an Itex deal, get some extra trade revenue in, and then they've got that disposable income they didn't have before.
And so you end up basically being able to accomplish something on a margin, but then buy, say, advertising that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. So it's almost exponential growth in some ways, it would seem.
That's how we like to see it. If your service only costs you 50 cents on the dollar and you get $10,000 worth of advertising, well, that $10,000 worth of advertising costs you $5,000 in your own service. So you're buying more and at a discount.
So how do you decide, I mean, if somebody wants to potentially explore this as an option, how do they really decide if it's a good fit for them? I mean, how do you talked to the very beginning about kind of the diagnosis, how you diagnose it, and but you end up making sure it's a good fit. What are some simple questions they could ask themselves right now?
Well, number one, again, I'll get right back to it. Could I use more business? That's the most fundamental question. Do you want more customers right now? Because usually trade groups can provide that. So if the answer is yes, you can keep moving on.
Pretty instant new clients?
It depends, of course. Do you have a well-run, attractive business that people want to work with? That matters in a trade marketplace just like anywhere else. But because folks that have existing trade accounts want to use the money profitably and efficiently, they have incentive to spend. And so you're going to find it easier to find that business than through other venues.
And then if people decide there's different programs, right? There's different trade communities. How do people determine if it's the best fit?
Well, I would actually put some care into making that decision as a consumer. Working with a trade group, there are a lot of great local trade groups out there. There are some like Itex. There are less of us, but there are some national trade groups out there. There are even some international trade groups out there. And then there's the online clubs where people trade babysitting and pet walking. So there's a whole range of things people can do. I would put some good due diligence into this. Is something I recommend, because when you're doing a trade, it's usually not a one-off gig. If you're joining a trading community, you are starting a relationship. So you want to make sure it's a financially stable company you're working with. You want to make sure they have a good reputation, maybe check a couple references, because it's not just going to be a one-shot deal. You're usually going to be doing business with these people repeatedly, oftentimes for many, many years. So do the standard due diligence, do some internet research, talk to some people that are already participating in the community, and then decide which way you want to go.
Can they trade for snow shoveling? I'm looking outside right now, and it is just a snow blizzard.
I don't know if we have any snow shoveling, but we can get you out of here, send you to Hawaii.
That's good. So is that really? So you can actually do like vacations? I mean,
Absolutely. We've just been going through in my office recently. We get depressed when we look outside, just like everybody around here right now. And so we've been looking at our vacation options, and it's pretty tempting.
Yeah. Where are you going to go, Cameron?
I'm thinking the Caribbean, maybe Spain.
Nice. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Again, we're here with Cameron Johnson, owner of the Itex office here in Seattle. Talk a little bit about, typically this is going to be the owner of a company who is providing.
Mm-hmm.
You can use some of the trade as if it's money for gifting, right? I mean, or to give employee bonuses, things of that nature?
Absolutely. We are fully on board with all IRS regulations, so there are no problems or funny business involved when you're trading with a reputable group like ours. And we in our system, it's called a sub account program. We have many businesses that set up their employees with sub accounts, and they'll bonus, commission, or otherwise pay them with trade currency, and their employees can then use it for, again, things they need: medical care, dental care, trips, little perks, fun things, etc.
Well, in a world where business truly does need balance, it is a way to, as you said, fill up some of those appointments that aren't there, join a community, which is so key in these days, and, really provide something to other people and allow them to provide for you in a way that doesn't always need cash.
That's right.
Well, Cameron, thanks so much for joining us again. That's Cameron Johnson from Itex. When we come back, speaking of balance, there's good things that happen in your life and financially, and there's bad things. Grant Courtney is going to join us and talk a little bit about what happens when small banks or creditors begin to act and collect on debts. My name's Ben Brashen. You're listening to Brashenomics.